With the trust vested in me by Meycauayan Toastmasters Club, I call this meeting to order. For the invocation and a Toastmasters promise, let us call Toastmaster Juliet Kabatingan.
Let us invoke the presence of our dear God for tonight's meeting. Dear Lord, as we gather here again for our September online meeting, we thank you for fellowship and family. We ask that you will strengthen us, restore us, and inspire us with your love. Lord, fill us with your peace so that as we journey onwards, we would pour out your love and grace to others. We ask that you continue to give strength to all of us Filipinos and the citizens of the world to beat this pandemic while we are still adjusting to the new norms. And may this be a learning for all of us to be more cautious and safe conscious in the future. We bring back all the glory in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 For Toastmasters promise. Okay, so let us all raise our right hand and all together we recite the Toastmaster promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to wala, prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meetings assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluation.
Next page,
Next,
please.
please. To help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, and to act within Toastmaster core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Our childhood was definitely one of the experience we've had best. Not only because some of us cried when we were sent to school, or not only because our mother's broomsticks or hangers, but because of the games we've played. My dear friends, let us stretch our arms, prepare our feet, and have a focused mind because the game is about to start. I am your today game master, and we will game on as we take the lessons we have learned and from those games that we grew up with. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, games as defined is a structured form of a play usually undertaken for entertainment and fun. And sometimes games are used for or as an educational tool. And games has some variety of or some kinds. It can be a sport, it can be a board game, or what's trending now, it could be a video game. And playing games has considered as the one which promotes social and emotional intelligence and teamwork, and many others. Games played a huge role in ourselves is as it helps us physically, emotionally, and mentally. But before we proceed to the course of our meeting, let's have our language evaluator to be led by Toastmaster Charlie Domawal. Toastmaster Charlie,
TM City, please start sharing the slide.
kindly wait. Thank you. Toastmaster Charlie.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends. As your language evaluator, I am very excited to take note of the gems and the germs of our meeting tonight. But before that, may I present to you the word of the day. It is dauntless. It is an adjective which means unlikely or unable to be frightened or discouraged. This word is synonymous to bold, courageous, and fearless. Let me give you a sample as to how to use this word in a sensible sentence. I looked into the mirror and I saw a dauntless man, challenged but never surrendering. Now, let me ask for two volunteers to use this word in your own sensible sentences. Any volunteer? If you want to use this word in your own sentence, please unmute your microphone and start sharing with us your beautiful sentence.
I can
If,
volunteer.
yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, dauntless. I am not really a gamer, but I am dauntless in joining my family so that we can all play video games during weekends.
Wow,
Toastmaster
that's
Charlie.
beautiful. Area Director Rose. Another volunteer, please.
I'm volunteering.
Go ahead.
Yes, if you are really determined and committed to your goals, you remain dauntless in the face of great odds.
Wow, very motivating sentence. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Marley Biran. I guess everyone is ready to use the word of the day in every opportunity that you are given to speak up. May I encourage you to use it for two reasons. First is it develops or improves your vocabulary. For your information, passive vocabulary, a word which we do not know, but we learn from other people. When we use it from time to time, it becomes our active vocabulary. And for second reason, use this word of the day because one usage of it is tantamount to 1 point deduction from your accounts later on. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Oh, with incentive, huh?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you, Toastmaster Charlie, for sharing with us our word of the night, dauntless. And it's now your turn, my dear friends, because Because for our today's meeting, I want you to share some of the games that you grew up with that gave a lesson learned or impact to you. And I appreciate if all of us will share that by typing that in our chat box, and I will going to read that later. So you just have to share those games or a certain game which is something impactful on you. Now, my dear friends, games in nature has winners, losers, or what we called as the weakest links. And in some games we played, we won, we lost, or we are somehow considered as the weakest link. But in Toastmasters, there is no such thing as losers or weakest links. We don't have losers, but we have champions, we have winners, and we have the dauntless and brave souls. And these brave souls will bring their A game tonight for our first portion of this meeting, which is table topics. Toastmaster James is supposedly our table topics master, but she handed me some of the topics, so I will just start it now. So for our first table topics, I will just screen share a topic. The topics gave by Toastmaster Jamie is very creative. So here is our first topic. Wait. There is a certain technical glitch on my part. I can, okay, no. Oh, so here is our first table topic. You accidentally run over your neighbor's cat and an animal you were not fond of with your car. How do you tell your neighbor the bad news? Again, you accidentally ran over your neighbor's cat, an animal you were not fond of with your car. How do you tell your neighbor the bad news? So I will call this Toastmaster, who I assume is a cat lover. And since the acronym of her name is CAT, let us call distinguished Toastmaster Christine Temblique.
Hello. Wow. Okay. I think this reminded me of an incident when my favorite dog was run over by a truck driven by our company driver, and it really made me furious. So if I were the one who caused the death of a cat, especially if it's a pet, I think I will be dumbfounded in for the first few minutes because I don't know how to deal with the situation. But of course, being rational, what I will have to do is to be honest and admit my guilt, admit my fault, and apologize. There is nothing that I can do more but to apologize and maybe accede to whatever they might impose on me as a penalty, maybe replace their cat or something. But of course, I hope it's not an expensive cat, because if it happens to be a Siamese cat or something, I will definitely go crazy with the amount of the replacement cat that I will have to replace the pet with. Nevertheless, I think it's the fondness for the pet that will cause the greatest heartache for my neighbor. So I guess a sincere apology would matter a lot in order to appease them. And definitely I will be very penitent in asking for their understanding, because I didn't mean it. It was an accident, and accident do happen. But I hope that my neighbor will be understanding enough to know and to realize that it was really an accident. So I pray before approaching them and saying my apology.
Thank you, Toastmaster Christine. And I guess dogs and cats really have
They're-
those kinds of misunderstanding. Now, let's move forward to our second table topic. Our second table topic is, what rituals does your club perform? Example, inducting new members, installing officers, and what rituals would you like to see added? I would like to hear to our language evaluator, Toastmaster Charlie. Toastmaster Charlie.
Okay. Growth is necessary. Otherwise, we will decay. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, we are Toastmasters. And as Toastmasters, we embrace challenges. And that being said, we are open to changes and improvement. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, I am the Vice President for membership of Toastmasters Club of Metro Dagupan. And one thing which I would like to include is induction of officers. That's one thing that we have not done yet this this year. I want to do it simply because I want all the officers to feel that they are important and that their roles play something in our club. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, recognition, appreciation. These words matter to every person whom we meet in the Toastmasters, especially we are expecting something from them. We expect them to lead, we expect them to give something to their fellow Toastmasters and members. Another thing which I would like to include in our club is actually a district-wide coaching. It's a district-wide coaching because I want to hear different practices of coaches and mentors as to how to grow club members or the club itself. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, sharing something that you know is very important because we are human beings. We don't monopolize knowledge. And if we work together, we can do things better. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us all be generous in sharing what we know because it is through sharing that we empower other people. And let's make sure that success can only be achieved if we work hard together. And let's define success this way, making sure that no one is left behind. So, fellow Toastmasters and friends, are you ready to share your best practices? Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Charlie, for that compelling table topic. And for our last table topic, is you've just created a holiday. Announce it to us. What does it commemorate? And how do we go about celebrating it? Again, you've just created a holiday. Announce it to us. What does it commemorate? And how do we go about celebrating it? I want to hear to Toastmaster Mar Libiran. Sir Mar, you're unmute. You're mute.
Okay, ready? Okay, if I were to create a holiday, it should be a holiday of those who are providing support services like those house help, those who are secretaries, those who are executive assistant, and those who do somehow apparently meaningless but very um, dirty jobs. Those who do dirty job, leg work, etc. Those who are doing uh, very general services that are really very miscellaneous in nature. How do I celebrate it? Of course, it should be marked as a say proclamation number so that some people will recognize the unsung heroes. There are more unsung heroes. In fact, for the world to be better, there should be more support services than those who are actors or lead roles. There should be more support services, I think, because the problem with people is that everybody wants to be a star, but nobody wants to be a supporting role. That's it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mario Libiran, for that table topic speech. And for the interest of time, we only have 3 table topic speeches, and that concludes our table topics of the day. And now, I will going to read all of your answers from the chat box. From Toastmaster Mark Edrada, Game Boy. But my friend took the bala of my Game Boy when he left for a farther place. What is the bala? Mark, what is that bala?
I don't know what a cartridge. That's cartridge. Yeah, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
What game? Mario?
Okay.
8-in-1. It was an 8-in-1 cartridge.
Okay. From Toastmaster Ruben, Luksong Baka. Okay. Nice one. From Distinguished Toastmaster Christine, Harang Saga Touching Ball. What is Harang Saga?
Harang taga, di ba?
Ah, Harang Taga.
Ay,
Okay.
saga. Oh,
Harang Taga.
mali pala yung spelling ko. Harang taga. Parang patintero siya eh. Yung, kasi panahon ko yun eh. That was my time. There's a square and then somebody's preventing you from passing through that, through you. So you extend your hand and then they try to pass you. So somebody else, a team of you, a team partner will confuse yung, it's so hard to describe, no? Will confuse the person preventing you from passing behind, from going through you. So you prevent them by extending your hand like that. And then there are two of you, so one will try to confuse the person. It's just like in a goal. You try to confuse the person. Then when he gets confused, you will go inside. You will pass, and then that's the way it works until everybody's able to come in and go to the back. So there are several layers of people preventing you from going in and finishing and going through all the way through the back. So I think you
Mm.
haven't experienced that already, but it's mostly like a teamwork, team play.
Uh, well, if we have some kind of simulation in our club, why not do that?
Ah, yes, we can do that.
Because no one will die in harang taga. Because we will not use a bolo.
Yeah, if you have longer arms, the better.
Okay. From Toastmaster Juliet. Yes, I have. We both like Chinese garter. Sorry. Chinese garter was one of my favorite. I'm sorry. Because I have leaping skills before. From Toastmaster Rose. Same. I also love Jackstone. They
Ah,
are
yeah,
like
me
six
too.
little sacks, not star like Jackstones.
Is that
Six
just
little
six?
sacks.
It's not the
It's
Chinese
eight.
jackstone, huh? It's not the jackstone. It's like small sacks. It's like this, and then you can fit like two or probably three in your hand in a row. Like, it's just that small. I don't. I was trying to look for it, but I couldn't find it in my house anymore.
Really? The jackstone that I know is the star-like
Yeah,
metal.
starlight
Yeah.
plastic ones are.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, no, it's different. They're like
Oh.
small bags, but
Ah, huh?
all is almost the same. You pick one, and then there's cue ball. I don't know what you call. There's one cue. There's one like a cue ball, and then you pick one at a time, and then two at a time, three, and then all the four. Yeah, just like Jackstone, but a
Okay.
different thing.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rose. From Toastmaster Mars, Siklot
No,
Touching.
I
What
do
is
not know that.
Siklot?
I do not know Siklot.
What's
Siklot,
that?
it is
Games
a
from the 1980s? Joke.
uh, 70s.
Siklot. Ano yung
Oh,
siklot? What's siklot?
70s!
Siklot is a game that is usually played either by a boy or a girl. I brought it out because many people have probably forgotten the game. Well, to play Siklot, one is to gather some sort of bala like sigay or all these shells, those odd-looking shells that can be found in the beach, those small pieces of shells, or we call it kabibi, and then or sigay, to be exact, and then or probably if you do not have that, some palok seeds or small pebbles. You gather them in the palm of your hand and then you toss up in the air using the palm, and then you reverse your palm, and then some will fall on the ground. You keep on repeating the process, and then you reverse it. It's now from the back of your hand to the palm again. So you,
Ah.
you keep on repeating. Of course, there will be pebbles or sea guys or some palok seeds that will fall on the ground. And then the best, what you do after that is that you flick, uh, you flick the thumb or the forefinger and then hit each other. After those who hit each other, you pair them off, and that's called one pick. And so the game ends. Everybody has his turn. The one who has the most number of picks or those that those pebbles or sapalok seeds that hit each other, 1 point or one pick. Those who have the most number of picks at the end of the game wins the game. So
Ah.
that's at Signot. Of course, it's like being tossed. It's used in real life, like in describing a situation. They are like uh, a flower or a light object being tossed by the wind, tossed to and fro. That's it.
So if you have bigger hands, it's an advantage kasi more will be cut, more will be caught.
More will be left. Sometimes it's advantage if you will call many because that's the balancing factor because you hit each other. You, what you can, what you can, and what can not do with those with large fingers, you compensate by hitting each other. The more hits you have, the better because that will be more
1 point.
picks.
Okay. Wow, that's difficult.
It's very difficult. Thank you, Toastmaster Mar. From Toastmaster Right, Counter Strike and Dota.
Ano yun?
My
Counter.
God.
Ha?
Back in my high school days, we used to play Counter Strike and Dota.
Dota?
Yeah, the Depends of the Ancients. It's a computer game. Before, it's just like Mobile Legends today. But before,
Yeah.
we used to go to computer shop to play with human competitor. But nowadays, kids just need to have a good internet connection and they will be able to play with fellow human players as well. But back then, you need to go to a computer shop, then look for an opponent, or else you will just wait for customers to come in for you to be able to play with human players. That's Counter Strike and Dota back then.
Dota. Dota is a game also.
Yeah, it's depends of the ancient. You need to protect the tree. That magical tree, you need to protect it. You are 5 players. You need to protect that tree. Then and you need to destroy the towers of the enemies for you to be able to win the game.
Wow. Teki ka na, Rai. Wala ka nang inabutang ancient games.
Well, in terms of computer games, I played Plants vs. Zombies.
Farmville.
From Toastmaster Marinor, Jackson, and football. Wow, football.
Football.
Hello, good evening. Yes, I enjoyed playing football with my cousins and with our friends, especially during my childhood days. We played along the Esquinita here in Calvario. So I enjoyed because it's a form of exercise and a form of camaraderie with my friends and cousins. So we get along. I got along well with my cousins then. And with the jackstone, whenever I am alone, so that's the time I play the jackstone. That's the jackstone that Christine knew,
Yeah.
right? Yes, with those with one
Starlight
box.
Metal.
Yes, Starlight Metal. So it's the game that you can play alone or with friends.
Yeah.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marinor. From Toastmaster Charlie, touching and very panlarong pambansa. High jump, long jump, contest climbing up trees, iring-iring.
Ano yung iring-iring?
Iring-iring.
What's iring-iring?
Okay,
Charlie?
so for iring-iring, there should be 2 groups. Each group should have at least 5 members. You can have 10 members. It's up to you. And then there is a game master. Each of the each of the team should number their members from, let's say for example, each team has 10 members each. So there should be 1, 2, 3 up to number 10. So it should be clear who is number 1 up to number 10. And then if the game master is holding a handkerchief, then the game master should be, let's say for example, 10 meters or 20 meters away from the 2 teams. And then the game master would say, iring iring 2. And then the 2, yes, the persons who have the 2 numbers will be racing to get the handkerchief. Let's say, for example, Toastmaster Mark grabs the handkerchief first, and then Toastmaster Mar will run after him. If Toastmaster Mar can catch Toastmaster Mark, and then the point goes to the team of Toastmaster Mar. And then Just say, for example, the two of them just keep on staring at the handkerchief, the game master will call another set of people. Iring iring three, then they will also help. You can also call everyone iring iring all. That is very fun to do. Actually, I'm still doing it at school with my co-teachers.
I
Wow.
like the word iring-iring.
Oo nga eh,
Yes.
nice. Iring-iring. First time for me
Yes,
to hear that.
same
Iring-iring.
here.
Ang cute eh. Sige, laruin
Just
natin.
last from Toastmaster Mark, I also played Pokemon Go a few years ago back. Too
Okay.
many games. Exciting, but please quit playing games with my what? What? Yeah, somehow true. Anyway, thank you so much for all those who shared their games, who they grew up with, and the moment you shared those, I felt even virtually that we are ready to bring our A game tonight. Ow, ow, ow. But our four prepared speakers for tonight are just more than prepared because they are ready to give us inspiring stories that will shift our mindset. To begin, to our first prepared speaker, for our first prepared speaker, our prepared speaker number one will be delivering a speech under the engaging humor path, level one evaluation and feedback. The objective of this speech is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. The title of the speech is Are You Infectious? The time is 5 to 7 minutes, and the evaluator is Toastmaster Rai de Jesus. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us welcome our
Sorry,
first
Toastmaster
prepared
Sedi.
speaker.
Excuse me, Toastmaster Sedi. The evaluator is
Sorry, Rai.
Toastmaster Rose. I'm sorry. Worky to Dan. It's
Uh-uh.
Toastmaster Rose Pagia.
Rose.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Toastmaster Rose. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us welcome our first prepared speaker, Toastmaster Dan Napalinga.
Toastmaster Dan, you're on mute.
Dan, you're on mute. Dan, please unmute. We cannot hear you.
We are still on lockdown status. And my daughter reminded me that I forgot our wedding anniversary. You must be kidding. We had been locked down with your mother since the time we got married. But let me illuminate your memory by the vows that I made to her. I, Beatrice, take you to be my wife. I promise to be true to you in good times, in bad times, in sickness, and in health. I will love and honor you all the days of my life. And do you know that your mother replied to me, I, Beatrice, take you, Danilo, for my lawful husband, and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and health until do us part. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening. Are you forgetful? Have you forgotten those vows? I made those vows. You made the same vows. We made those vows when we got married. But nothing has changed until COVID-19 arrived. COVID-19 have made us fearful, frightful, and awful. I have three good news for you tonight. First, the Meycauayan Toastmasters Club have very high IQ members. Despite the GCQ, MCQ, queuing at the malls, queuing at the doctor's clinic, queuing at the marketplace, QQQ. EQ is emotional intelligence. It is the measure of an individual abilities to recognize and manage their emotions and the emotions of other people, both individually and in groups. We are pressured by COVID-19 on our emotional intelligence. Second, the good thing about COVID-19 is it brought back our memories. It made us realize the value of life, of relationship, and taught us how to conquer fear. And third, nobody in our club has gone crazy yet. Not yet. Not yet for now. Despite the fear of an invisible enemy, the chaos, the mortalities, despite the isolation, a house arrest, nobody was caught roaming the streets or drinking. My dear friends, you and I love freedom. For husbands like me, we were confined and tamed by our wives. Are you? And the wives? Now they were restrained from their shopping spree. And our children, it was a good playtime every day. The good thing was the family was intact and safe. I'll give you the bad news. The bad news is we have 250,000 or more cases, and the morbidity has reached 3 times more. My friend called me up the other day and told me that his father passed away. And he told me the shortest alimony, the longest sentence in 3, 4 words. He left a note and a message. I have spent all the money. It was a sad message, but a very prudent one. Because of the lockdown, my wife and my daughter decided to close their clinic and instead Zoomed their medical services at home virtually. There were problems on scheduling, the Toastmaster meeting, their consultations, their schedules, But my wife, to maintain normalcy, my wife, who usually calls me from work every day to check in on what's happening to me, just called me in my home office, and we live in the same home. It's the thought that counts, right? My wife refers me as her co-worker, an assistant at home, trying to call meetings about the dishes in the sink. She got a mouthy about it, and I said I'm going to write her for insubordination. But at the end, I made a vow to my wife. The most important 4 words: I'll do the dishes. So you see, COVID-19 has exposed the nature of my wife. My wife complains that my pension is not sufficient to buy my maintenance medicines. In short, she was subsidizing me. But lucky enough, she was the one who prepares the diet menu. And now my pension can buy medicines for both of us. It's called discipline and passive income. I'm sure Juliet knows passive income. Look it up. Not only that, my wife learned how to fully utilize the features of her cell phone, texting, Facebook, and Messenger, and Viber. She spends 6 hours at her clinic and says texting is a full-time job under quarantine and should be treated as such. She responds to her classmates and friends an average of 8 hours a day. Then, after that, she tried to get some rest. And now she has developed a big owl-like eye bag. COVID started on March 16, and it's going for 177 days now. And the feeling, yours and mine, as if it's almost 3 years past, while September going by in 22 days. I have learned the lessons of mnemonic to increase my efficiency in memorizing poems, memorizing names, and I'll give you a good sample tonight. 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. But February's 28, the leap year which comes once in 4 years, gives February 1 day more. That's in the Julian calendar, and I mastered it in 4 days. My daughter confided to me 2020 is the strictest parent she'd ever had. One evening, we were enjoying a nice gelatin cake. And my daughter asked me, Dad, what were you good old days? Well, my thoughtful reply, when I wasn't good and I wasn't old. On that note, I'm not counting the calories that I'm inhaling towards my weight, but my blood sugar has decreased tremendously. And I told my daughter, everything is starting to click with me. My knees, my elbows, my neck. Click, click, click. All of us are coming out of quarantine with some unfinished projects. Perhaps you aspired to learn French and you wanted to cook a good Italian bread, bracascio, but didn't get around to it. Nothing to be ashamed of. A little more than we could chew in terms of how to occupy ourselves during these trying times is good enough. We are not perfect. It's clear that the lockdown has had a profound impact on how we live. The period of contagion, self isolation, and the economic uncertainty will change the way we behave in many cases for years to come. But the experience of togetherness and prayers provided feelings of connectedness, unity, and bonding in the family. Not only that, it helped reduce relational tensions with your kids or with your wife or husbands. Intergenerational transmission of ideas and values were exposed. Comfort and encouragement to each other, and a time of family togetherness and interaction. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, COVID-19 is something that we can live by. Good evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dan, for that speech. Let us now move forward to our second prepared speaker. Our second prepared speaker will be delivering a speech under the presentation mastery path, level 1 evaluation and feedback also. The purpose of this speech is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. The, the title of the speech is Finance and Romance for Pinoy Millennials. The time is 5 to 7 minutes, and the evaluator is Toastmaster Mario Libiran. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, our third speaker number 2, Toastmaster Mark Wilson Edrada.
Have you ever been on a date in a posh restaurant full of nice ambience with variety of delectable goodies when suddenly, oh no, where's my wallet? Fellow Toastmasters and friends, a few months ago, I was on a scheduled date with my fiancé to the elevated and mountainous Antipolo. When I fetched her from her place in Quezon City, we decided to just park my car there and use hers as my car as her car is on automatic transmission while mine is on manual. We drove for about an hour going to Antipolo and had our dinner at Tahanan Bistro, one of the sought after fine dine restaurants in Antipolo, as it served different types of meals, mostly Filipino dishes. When I asked for a bill and about to pay, hmm, oh no, where's my wallet? I was startled. I was nervous. I felt the pressure and the fast beat of my heart. And I came into an assumption that my wallet could have been left at my car that was parked in Quezon City, almost 20 kilometers away from Antipolo. Luckily, my fiance had cash. And more luckily, we were no longer on courting stage. She paid for that date, and we went home. Who among you have been in a situation of not having cash on a date? Toastmaster GV had admitted that last month. Toastmaster Rai also had said that. And I therefore conclude that all the men in this meeting room had encountered what I encountered. We need cash. We need budget. We need money to sustain our lifestyle. And when it comes to romantic love, and we need them, we need money, we need cash, we need budget, most especially to sustain our familial matters and familial concerns. According to a study conducted by yours truly, two of the challenges that Pinoy millennials encounter nowadays are romance and finance. I'm on my 30s yet I don't have boyfriend. My fallopian chips bait get expired. I'm working for more than 10 years but I can't pay all my be I can't pay all my bills. I am miserable. No money, no honey. I've been hopeless romantic for a long time. That's why I know the feeling of being loveless. I've experienced being cashless. That's why I know the feeling of not paying bills on time. I've been moneyless and honeyless once upon a time. That's why I know the feeling of several of the Pinoy millennials. On my previous speech, I've introduced to you my Facebook page, Finance and Romance for Pinoy Millennials. Now, I am introducing to you my podcast. Same title, Finance and Romance for Pinoy Millennials. Available on Spotify and Anchor FM. New episodes every week starting September 10. And this is my precursor for my Level 3 Pathways project. Finance and Romance for Pinoy Millennials aims to find balance between money matters and romantic relationships on a Bible-based perspective. Be blessed by the lessons brought about by this God-sent technology about finance and romance. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, what are you waiting for? Like and follow Finance and Romance for Pinoy Millennials on Facebook, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Now na, back to you, Toastmaster of the Evening.
Thank you, Mark. And we will all definitely looking forward for that podcast, especially on Spotify. And to those who didn't like his Facebook page, kindly like and share also some of Toastmaster Mark's words of wisdom. And now we are now on our third prepared speaker. Okay. Our third prepared speaker will be delivering her speech under the Persuasive Influence Path, Level 2, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. The objective is to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. The title of her speech is My Mentor and I. Time is 5 to 7 minutes, and the evaluator is Toastmaster Marinor de Guzman. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us welcome our third prepared speaker, Toastmaster Lit Mabayan.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends. I would like to show you a book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. How many of you have read this book? Well, I see a few hands. That's very good. I really would like to recommend this book to everyone. You must have a copy of this book. This book is very good. It is all about mentorship, and every one of us could relate to this book. My life as a Toastmaster began when I signed up as one, of course. And all I did was fill out a registration form, and voila, I was a Toastmaster. But I am glad that throughout this Toastmasters life of mine, I really wasn't alone. That's why the story that I would like to share with you is entitled My Mentor and I. My journey in Toastmasters began not really when I began or started delivering my few speech projects. I started with my first, my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth speech projects. And when I was done, my fellow Toastmasters were all prodding me and telling me, wow, it's time now for you to join a speech contest. And I said, no way. And that was when Toastmaster Isabelita Arguelles made an entrance into my life. She said, I will be your coach. And just like this book, Jonathan Seagull, who was the instructor of Fletcher, the protege, began. So there she was, my coach, Toastmaster Belle. She was very willing. She was very supportive as a coach. The area speech contest during that time was just around the bend. Well, to mention the date, it was 1996. It was a long, long time ago. And she prepared me well. And you know what? I won. Well, not as a champion, but first runner up in the area speech contest. But for a first timer, that wasn't bad, right? And do you know who won in that area speech contest? It was Oscar Soriano. But I am so happy with Coach Bell. She told me, it's all right. From this time on, I will not just be your coach. I will be your mentor. I will see your progress. I will hone your talents, and we will prepare for next year's contest. And so that's what we did. Come 1997, I joined again. And this time around, I won as the area champion in the international speech contest. And next year, 1998, I joined again. And this time, because of my mentor, Toastmaster Bell, I won not just in the area, but I made it up to the division level. And then we just continued. And during this mentorship program, I felt that it's really getting serious. During those times, there was no virtual mentoring. it has always been a face-to-face mentoring, which I personally believe was 10 times better. It's actually irreplaceable. The quality of time that Toastmaster Bell and I spent together contributed to a healthy interaction that brought about a kind of mentoring that really has given beautiful results. You know, when I joined the 1997 International Speech Contest, it was during the time of the distinguished Toastmaster Christine Temblique. She was the district governor that time. It happened in Philippine Plaza, and I was the division representative. And I cannot but be grateful to Toastmaster Bell. Because of her, I made it to that level. The glory of public speaking, the thrill of joining speech contests, and the opportunity of being able to meet a lot of good Philippine Toastmasters, all because there was a mentor who brought me to that level. I will be forever grateful. You know, I miss Toastmaster Bell. She lives in Australia now, but I believe she left me a legacy that I must pass forward. And that is being a coach to new Toastmasters so they will survive. And better yet, to become a mentor to my fellow Toastmasters so they will thrive. Well, let's go back to that international speech contest during the 1999 speech competition. I didn't place. Yes, I didn't win. But the best compliment I received from my mentor were these words: "You're still my champion." Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lip, being our mentor to all of us is such actually a great honor. So thank you for being a mentor now to all of us. And let us now proceed to our final prepared speaker. Okay, just wait. Our prepared speaker number 4 will be delivering his speech under the persuasive influence level 5, prepared to speak professionally. The objective of this speech is to practice developing and presenting a longer speech. The title of the speech is To Be Fair. Time is 18 to 22 minutes, and he will be evaluated by Toastmaster Armel Gutierrez. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us have our final prepared speaker, Toastmaster Ruben Acevedo.
About 12 years ago, on the humid second floor of a decrepit NLRC building, I was waiting for my labor case to be called by the labor arbiter. NLRC is National Labor Relations Commission, and it sits along Banawi Street in Quezon City alongside galvanizing shops and car accessories. A couple of pretty men and old women then sat on both my left and my right side. And then two of them stood in front of me, towering before me. I was surrounded by goose. One of them said, "Ikaw ba yung bagong abogado ng ABC Corporation?" I didn't know who they were. But I said, "Oh, are you the union members? Where's your lawyer? He's already 20 minutes late. If he doesn't show up in 10 minutes, I'll ask the labor arbiter to cancel the hearing and make you pay my time and transportation." There was silence. Then an old lady said, "Attorney, pasensya na po. Parating na po abogado namin. alam ba na sa tagal na ho ng kaso na to, namatay na yung mga ilan sa mga namin. Iba nga po sa amin, galing pa pong probinsya. Nangutang pa po ng pamasahe para lang makarating dito. Marami po sa amin, walang trabaho. Iba nasa ospital. Tulungan niyo naman kami, attorney. Lalo po, magpapasko na. This is the reason why a lot of lawyers don't want to practice labor law by representing companies and employers. They don't want to become somehow responsible for ruining the life of small workers who don't have much life to begin with and who stake their fate litigating labor cases drag on for decades. For me, it was a moral dilemma. Before I became a lawyer, I used to be a paralegal volunteer helping workers. Interned at Saligan, a group of lawyers, workers, and union. But that day at the NLRC, I was on the other side of the fence. What was I supposed to do? Then the labor arbiter finally called our case. Na CQ Unions versus ABC Corporation, for ABC Corporation po. Unions. Na traffic po abogado namin. Hintayin ba natin, attorney? Okay lang po. Then I told the unions to tell me their side of the story. Thereafter, I would later use my bosses and my client to settle the case with the unions and pay what have been due them for decades. How? How did I do it? What resolved my moral dilemma? I realized throughout this that all I needed was a clear and strong sense of fairness. Even as I represented the company, I could ensure a fair outcome even for employees. Now, after with the number of Filipinos with jobs reaching 0.5 million in slightly increased as well. So I thought it might be useful to share a few practical tips in managing labor litigation based on my experience. In the spirit of fairness, I'll share both tips for employers and employees. Now, before I proceed, I'd like to check if all of you have registered at polev.com/mbroben709 because I'll be asking you guys questions later and you'll see the questions there and you will need to submit your answers to the questions there. Thanks, Mark. Okay. Employees. The first one is keep records. Records, I mean slips, performance vision, keep one everything. Because like what need is evidence. And usually you're not even an employee. You don't have any document to show that you're not. And imagine that having worked for so many years and then say your boss tells you you're an employee. If you're not an employee, the case gets dismissed. So keep records. Second, I remember one time a ride-hailing client said investigate the possibility of terminating the branch manager on account.
I think he lost his connection.
Yes,
Can
I
everyone
guess.
see me now?
Okay. Yes.
Just
Yes, yes.
reshare my screen. Right. Okay. So I was in Bacolod and the HR showed me the performance evaluation, which was not impressive, but not bad either to terminate the employee. And the problem was the branch manager had of the performance evaluation, so the company could just cook up some poor evaluation performance excuse. So that's important. You keep record. Second, you get a lawyer. Now, technically, guys, you don't need a lawyer to file a complaint at the NLRC. You don't need a lawyer to go through the whole process. You just fill up a 2-page form, you're done. You go to the hearings, tell your side, and so on. The problem with litigation is it's like basketball. Sure, you could dribble and shoot on your first try without help, but I doubt you'll win the game, especially if the other side has professional players. Now, a lot of employees also sue their employers without knowing if they actually have a ground or if they're correct. So they need a lawyer to tell them that. One time, I had a BPO client in Cebu because an employee didn't want to do overtime. Her argument was, there was no overtime in my contract, so you can make me do overtime. The problem with that is an employer by law can ask you to do overtime, and that provisions of law don't need to be in contract to be enforceable. And the problem with also with her logic was her contract did not contain any salary or wage. So by by logic, I told her, you know what? If you go by your contract, you're not even entitled to any compensation. She, however, was strong-willed. She didn't get a lawyer. She was a law student at the time. She went all the way to the Court of Appeals. Of course, she lost all the way. Next is settle if possible. The beauty of settlement is that it allows you to control the outcome of the case. If you don't settle, you leave the case, your fate, to the whims of the labor arbiter or to the ability of the lawyers. The problem with that is companies have deeper pockets than you do, and they have better lawyers. So usually you lose the case if you don't have a lawyer. Finally, you make reasonable demands. I'm always surprised by employees whenever we negotiate. They always ask for millions of pesos and the moon. What you could, as an employee, what the only thing that you could demand reasonably is what the law allows you to get. It's just that just so happens that the employers was standing in the way of those reasonable demands. Remember the union case I was telling you about at the beginning? So they wanted me to help them so they could have a good, right? The problem with the settlement before Christmas is that when they were entitled to around 50,000 to 100,000 per, what they demanded was 0.5 million per. Now that's crazy. So what happened was the case dragged on for more years to the detriment of the employees themselves. So to sum up, for employees, you keep records, you get a lawyer, settle if possible, and make reasonable demands. Now before I go on, I'd like to take a virtual poll. In one word, how would you describe your job? Now you should have gone to polev.com and please input your responses. So we'll see the responses on the screen. Rewarding, assist, blessing, oh that's nice. Routinary, I feel you. And exciting, that lucky you. Who did it? Who gave exciting? That's lucky. That's rare for most of us. Okay. So good. Thank you for participating, guys. At least the few of you. Oops. Sorry. Let me share that again. Right. Tips for employers. First, talk to employees always. Some employees file a case at the NLRC for the sole reason of forcing the company to talk to them. All right. And most of them are angry. Angry because the company ignores them. Angry that they had to go through the NLRC just to get the company to talk to them. So companies, please do talk to your employees all the time. Now, some companies are smart now. They have like therapists who would talk to the dismissed employees to help them process the termination and to manage their emotions, because emotional employees file cases all the time. So if a company talks to them after dismissal and manages their emotion, that would certainly minimize litigation. Second, as I was pointing out, communication is the key. That's important. Second is dismiss only according to law. Now, under Philippine law, an employer can only dismiss based on specific grounds and according to a specific procedure. We are not like other countries who could just fire on the spot for whatever reason. Under Philippine law, employees have a security of tenure. That means you cannot be fired for whatever reason unless the law allows. So there are a number of grounds. There are just grounds like misconduct, neglect, fraud, crime. There are also authorized causes which are relevant right now during the pandemic. And these are redundancy, retrenchment. I'm sure you've heard that, especially with ABN. And finally, this is important, disease. See, the law, even before the pandemic arrived, the law already allows employers to terminate employees for sickness. And this is what the law says. Where the employee or the disease is prejudicial to the health of the employee or the health of his co-employees, which is COVID-19 practically, and a certification to that effect is given by the public health authority that the disease is such of a nature that cannot be cured in a period of 6 months, even without proper medical treatment, then you're going to be, you could be dismissed by your employee for contracting the disease. I guess that's one more reason for keeping yourself. Next is be kindly and friendly when dismissing employees. The main reason here is you open yourself up for settlement. That's usually my first advice to my clients when we get a case file against them, is to be friendly and be kind to settle the case as soon as possible. And you can't settle if you begrudge or disrespect or maltreat employees and you don't share them that you care for them. Next is you get an honest lawyer. Not just a good lawyer, not just a dauntless lawyer, a lawyer who would agree to terminate the case early. You see, cases is where lawyers get their money. So they're not inclined to terminate cases. They want cases to go on forever. But if you have an honest lawyer who will put the interest of the client before his interest, then that lawyer should be willing to settle the case as soon as possible. Which brings me to my last point, settle early. Now, this may not apply to cases when the employer want to make an example out of an employee. For example, there are cases when the employee steals something from let's say the safe. An employee steals safe, or an employee commits fraud against the company, and the companies, regardless of the chances of winning, would want to make an example out of that employee so that other employees don't follow. Then settling, of course, might not be a good idea. But settling in other cases could be strategic. For example, a lot of you have probably heard the word gig economy, where companies like Grab or Uber or similar business models where they have agents or partners, they call it, running their or as partners in their business. There's a legal issue of their status. In other countries, they are treated as employees, but in the Philippines, there's no ruling yet. So if I had one of three of those cases, three riders filed a case against my client. I'm not going to say who. And of course, they wanted, what my fear was that these cases would somehow declare that my client would be treated as an employer. Now, if my client would be treated as an employer, then that destroys the business model and they would have to leave the Philippines out of that. So the solution there was to settle the case immediately. And you know what their main problem was, the reason why they filed the case against the client? It's because my client didn't talk to the employees, didn't talk to these riders. The riders were just asking where would they get their commissions and whatnot, and my client didn't want to tell them. So they got another cases instead. To sum up, employer should talk to employees always. It's according to the law only. Be kind and friendly when dismissing employees. Get an honest lawyer and settle early. Now, it's time for a quiz. Oops. Sorry. Right. All right. Here's the question. Sorry, I'm just all right. In labor cases, you need to put your answer in the site I told you about earlier. In labor cases, the Philippine Supreme Court applies a legal doctrine that is based on moral values. Which of the following refer to this moral value? You should be seeing this in the site I told you about earlier. I hope you see it. My keynote is not responding.
All EB, right?
You see it, guys?
I refreshed the page. It's not showing the question.
Anyone see the
Toastmaster Ruben, you're on mute, sir.
I was wondering if any of you was able to answer the question.
Can't see the question. Paul EB, right? Same.
No question yet.
The question was this: in labor cases, the Philippine Supreme Court applies a legal doctrine that is based on moral value. Which of the following refer to this moral value? And you should have seen that in the poll. Were you able to? If not, well, and we could just skip that part due to time constraint. But so you would have seen that and have chosen. Well, let me just ask you here. Anyone, any volunteer, which do you think is the moral value that the Supreme Court applies as a matter of legal doctrine?
Yeah.
Yes,
Empathy?
Mar.
I have a guess, probably integrity.
Integrity. Anyone else?
Sympathy?
Yes, Juliet.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Fairness.
Fairness. Okay. The answer is, thank you, Juliet and Mar. The answer is compassionate justice. Compassion, basically. And this is what the Supreme Court says. The doctrine of compassionate justice is applicable, and the social justice policy mandates a compassionate attitude toward the working class in its relation to management. What this is, guys, the legal doctrine is basically a sense of fairness. A sense of fairness in favor of the employees, not the employers, because usually the relationship is that the employers always have the upper hand. And so the law and the Supreme Court tempers that relationship and wants to be fair by giving a favor or bias in favor of labor. Now, in this case that's cited here, the employee went AWOL. And of course, the employer had to dismiss him, right? The problem was the employer didn't dismiss according to the law, as a matter of procedure. So the court ruled that he was illegally dismissed even. Okay. Now to conclude, labor litigation is tough for either side. But I hope these tips, the simple practical tips help make it easier. As for me, managing labor litigation to come up with fair outcomes for both employers and employees isn't easy. Companies usually want the case to drag forever. Employees are understandably angry. Lawyers usually don't want to end the cases because it cash cows. But see, the only way for a labor lawyer like me to sleep at night was to be fair to everyone. Toastmaster. Toastmaster, that ends my speech. But as I still have a few minutes, I'd like to make a special announcement.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, PM
Thank you.
Ruben.
Hi, everyone. For our required Level 5 project, I and my team, and that's Juliet, Givi, and Mar, are developing an automated sign-up process for speeches and meeting rules. We have a guidance committee for this project that's composed of Toastmasters Marinor, Lit, Mark, and VJ, who is the president of Baguio Toastmasters, Baguio Eco Zone Masters Club. We call this new automated process Bay. That's why the slide says we play with Bay. We need your help. And we will be, oh, I'm sorry. We need, and that's why we will be asking your help to play with Bay soon, suggest improvements to the automated process, and fulfill our vision of empowering every Toastmaster in 1 to 3 clicks. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ribbon, for that speech, and to your level 5. We are looking forward to that. And that concludes our prepared speeches. Now, fellow Toastmasters and friends, in some of the games we play, there is someone who will give the final verdict. It's either you win, you lose, or it's either a draw. And in our tonight's meeting, someone will going to give his final verdict. Eh, do we give a game the do we give our did we give our A game, or the someone game was over because of the time? And let us all know that by our general evaluator, who believes that, or who is happy to be surrounded with the people that radiates positive vibe. And he is also an entrepreneur slash employee slash a loving father. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, let us sing happy birthday first to our general evaluator. Happy birthday
Hey
to
to
you.
you. Happy
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 birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
birthday.
you. Happy
Happy birthday,
birthday
happy
to
birthday,
Happy
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 birthday
birthday
to
To you.
you.
Dun, 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 dun.
General
Happy,
evaluator, right?
happy.
Take it away.
Thank you, fellow Toastmaster, for that heartwarming greetings. And I really decided to celebrate my birthday with my family on the 6th of September for me to be able to attend our meeting for tonight. Because, yes, I already suffered last night because of a big hangover. Anyway, as we proceed, I will be your general evaluator for tonight. As the general evaluator, uh, the evaluation portion is the heart of our meeting. And as your general evaluator, it is my task to evaluate overall part of the meeting. And of course, I will not be alone for tonight, for I will be joined by my team of evaluators. I'm really sorry for my voice is a little bit husky for tonight because I called many uwaks yesterday. All right. So before I start, I would like to commend our president for uh, calling to order our meeting at exactly 7:06 p.m. And it was followed by Toastmaster Juliet. I would like to congratulate Toastmaster Juliet for being able to do multiple roles for tonight. And for a heartwarming prayer of Toastmaster Juliet. And we do observe some technical problems as she delivered the Toastmaster promise. I think it will be prevented in the future uh, if the person in charge to deliver the Toastmaster's promise can have a copy and will be able to control the movement of the screen as she delivers the Toastmaster's promise. And to begin to call my first to call the first member of my team, I would like to call our table topics evaluator for tonight. Let's give a round of applause. And if you are not able to clap your hands, or if your camera is not on, you may use the reaction button. They now have additional reaction buttons now. We have heart, joy, open mouth, and tada. So you can click and use these reaction buttons. Let us give a warm of applause to our table topics evaluator for tonight, Toastmaster, our area director, Toastmaster Rose Bagia.
Step no, step yes. Did our speakers tonight for our table topic step on good technique or audience impact? Let's see. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the participants who are dauntless, in participating in delivering their speeches tonight. Also, Toastmasters ready for taking over the role. Our first speaker for tonight is Toastmaster Christine. What I liked about her speech is that she gave a story that was a personal story and thus made her speech credible. And she gave a realistic solution to the problem. And she also, she also gave, sorry, she gave the, okay, so she gave her introduction. So she gave the story as her introduction, and her solution was to give the, to be sorry, to accept her fault and apologize to the owner of the pet. What I would suggest to Toastmaster Christine is that she could straight away tell her story at the beginning, and she could use more vocal variety because she said she was furious before. I I don't really want to see Toastmaster Christine furious though, but it would help to be a bit more firm in her voice, or to be, or probably to use pause to show that she was affected by the events before. So thank you, Toastmaster Christine. As always, you give us practical advice to the solutions. What else can we do but to face the problem? Our second speaker for tonight is Toastmaster Charlie. I do like the energy and the introduction that you gave us tonight, and you were very specific in your solution. It is timely and personal because it applies to your own club in Metro Dagupan, right? And you also gave, you did not only give the solution, but you gave the reason or the why for the solution, which is that the recognition is something that can help members to grow in their Toastmasters career. I would like to suggest that you can add or make the transition more clear. You started with growth so that we can see the change from growth to improvement, that it is the one or the reason for the members to be successful. I do love the message. Please continue sharing that. Sharing successes or sharing your secrets to success is also, or could be, the secret to the success of the other members or to the newbies. Thank you so much. And for Toastmaster Mar, our third speaker, I love that you gave us very detailed examples on the holiday that you wanted. We can see here your personality, that you have a good heart for the unsung heroes that we have. Especially nowadays, your holiday is very timely. And your solution was to declare it, as a law, the holiday. It would help to give a descriptive more descriptive words on how we can celebrate the day. Like, will the will the heroes have a day off, or will they get extra pay, double pay, or will they get freebies for the day? It would help to bring color to your speech. You can also end it with an invitation like Happy Unsung Heroes Day or something like that. Congratulations, Toastmaster Mar, and I hope to hear more of your table topic speeches very soon. And to our President, Toastmaster Sedi, thank you so much for stepping up And I understand the topics were not really your choice. It would help that it is related to the theme that we have tonight, which is gaming. And I appreciate that you did not hesitate to call anyone and just called on our participants for tonight. Okay, look to the left, look to the right, look to Toastmasters. This is our playground. Don't be afraid to participate. We learn best in moments of enjoyment. Toastmaster Rai, back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rose. And for the benefit of our Zoom host for tonight, Toastmaster Mark, he is requesting us before we proceed with our evaluation to have our picture taking.
Yes,
Toastmaster
please.
will take the picture. Will take the photo. Toastmaster Mark or Toastmaster Rose will take the photo for tonight.
I can take the photo. We can take at the same time. Mark,
Right. Let's
Sorry?
take the photo.
Sir Dan,
Yes.
Mark,
Toastmaster Marinar, please open.
We're okay.
Ready? One, two. I did not take. Sorry. Ayaw niya. Sorry. Wait, wait.
Ako na lang.
Right.
Hindi na lang. Sige. 1, 2. Wait, 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with regards to our table topics master for tonight, yes, I do agree with Toastmaster Rose observation that some of the topics that the topics that were given are not related to the theme for the night. It will be better for our next table topics master to relate the table topics questions or table topics theme should be related to our theme for the night. And as we proceed, we are now on the part where we will evaluate our prepared speakers. For our prepared speaker number 1, Toastmaster Dan Napalinga will be evaluated by once again another multiple role taker of the night, Toastmaster Rose. Toastmaster Rose will evaluate Toastmaster Dan Napalinga's speech. Take it away.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rai. Laughter is contagious and it is infectious. Congratulations, Toastmaster Dan, for your speech tonight. It was entertaining, timely, and authentic. You gave us stories that were humorous and relatable because we all live them now every day. We all experience, of course, COVID. We all experience that we have our relationship building now that we're physically closer and every day with our family and of course me and my husband. You have you have given us stories on how you personally, your family has adapted to the situation that we have. And on every part of your speech, you included humorous statements, and I appreciated that, like the first story that you had your opening that you forgot your anniversary, that your vow turned into I'll do the dishes, and this is all something that we can all relate to. I wonder how many people in our meeting do the dishes at home. I don't think it. And I appreciate that you also use descriptive words in your speech. I appreciated like you use like specific numbers like 177 days. It feels, and you upped it up by saying that it feels like 3 years. I could suggest that you can go straight to 177 days or 3 years. It would add to the humor. It's slightly confusing, but it's going to be very humorous. I can suggest vocal variety for Toastmaster Dan because you had a part where you had a dialogue. You can try to use vocal variety, at least on the first part. I understand you have a deep voice that's very masculine. It may be difficult to do a female voice at an extended time, but do try at least the first few parts of it. It would help develop the speech to help us envision the conversation that you are having. Also, I would like to suggest the introduction. I felt that it was more specifically for marriage part, and then your whole speech was not just marriage but your family as well. It would be good to make a more relatable introduction to the rest of your speeches. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dan. I appreciated the message that yes, this is something that we can live by as long as we stick to the protocols that are given to us. This is something that we can live by and hopefully get through. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Rai. Back to you.
Again, Toastmaster Rose, for that wonderful evaluation for Toastmaster Dan's speech. And I would like also to congratulate Toastmaster Dan for a very holistic speech that he delivered earlier. For he was able to bring me in a roller coaster ride because he will be discussing some serious points. Then after that, he will have a punchline. It is indeed like a roller coaster of emotions on my part because he is touching so many aspects as he deliver his speech. And congratulations, Toastmaster Dan. And it is indeed a very wonderful speech. And I personally look forward for your future speech. And I hope next time you will be able to focus your camera as well to our timer for you to be able to monitor your time as well. Thank you again and congratulations, Toastmaster Rose, and of course, our speaker for tonight, Toastmaster Dan. And for our second speaker to be evaluated by Toastmaster Mario Libiran, the speaker is Toastmaster Mark Edrada, and his evaluator is Toastmaster Mar Libiran. Toastmaster Mar, take it away. Kindly unmute yourself.
Part of Toastmaster Mark Vidrada is presentation mastery. That's why that kind of speech is certainly very helpful along the path. Is truly effective for this path. Actually, the story of cited or narrated by TMR is somehow repackaged old stories like and is recrafted into finance and romance for millennials because it's an age-old problem of how can a person live by just being romantic. Actually, in terms of beginning, I would say that Mark has already is arrested my my attention, and I there was no second that I blinked because of the way he presented. Certainly, Mark has a marked improvement in terms of presentation. Um, there's only one thing that I would like to take note of, that it seems that there is no doubt that he could be in the sales business because it has zero negativity. I mean, this story does not contain any tinge of negativity. It's all positive, except what I noted here, like the experience of finding that your wallet is lost. Uh, it seems that the way presented is, I'm wondering whether it's just a teaser. Like, um, there was no, parang, it's like, okay lang, as if nothing happened. I mean, of course, not losing the wallet or not having the wallet ready by that time is a serious concern. But he just, in no minute, in no time, he was able to say, my girlfriend is just a wallet. So I'm somehow looking for a story because this is a common story. Uh, the one that, I mean, everybody can relate to this common story. It's a common experience. Um, what what I would like, actually, what I'm wishing to hear is that it must be a different story because everybody has this story. Almost everyone has this story at one point or another. That's why guys can relate closely to this story. I'm expecting that Mark will have a different version that is personal only to him. Well, I can't. Of course, I have several thoughts racing in my mind. I find the story too simple, as if uh, it's just is it? I'm asking myself, is it because he's promoting his book that's why it's only a teaser, meaning just like a preview of a movie, he will not give the best. He will only give. He will only tease. He will only tantalize or make us more interested in his blog. That's why. But overall, I guess that simple presentation is a smooth presentation. Probably I'm only looking for depth, or I'm only curious whether he intentionally uh, pick the simplest story as a sort of teaser so that people will be intrigued or will be interested to um, patronize or support his blog. That's why I find the story so simple. Maybe it's a marketing strategy or what, but in terms of uh, a good speech, it was a good speech overall. Back to you.
Toastmaster Mark, for your evaluation of Toastmaster Mark Endrada's speech. And your evaluation is Toastmaster Mark is something I always look forward to every meeting. But it seems that your electric fan or your microphone keeps on interfering your reception. I don't know. Do you have an electric fan besides you?
Yes, only an inch, a foot away.
Yes, I think it will be better next time to at least move the fan a little bit further for us to be able to hear your wonderful evaluation. And keep in mind to keep your eye contact to the pinhole, the camera pinhole,
Okay.
as you deliver your speech or your evaluation for the audience to be able to connect with what you are saying. And again, to Toastmaster Mark, as always, his speech includes his love life, his love story, and in a way he related it to finances, which many of us men can really relate to. And I myself, as he said earlier, experienced such back when we were still dating. Uh, Me and my wife were still dating. And thank you, Toastmaster Mark, for sharing us your thoughts, and of course your podcast. Many young men will be guided in the future so that they will not take the path that we've taken together with Toastmaster GB. So let us encourage our young boys to follow and to listen to the podcast and the blog of Toastmaster Mark. Thank you once again, Toastmaster Mark. Congratulations, Toastmaster Mar and Toastmaster Mark.